I think that the optics are very hypocritical, that they go to Nigeria and that they go to Colombia and that they appear to regard Britain as dangerous. I do sympathize with Harry's personal fear when it comes to security issues, and I do think that it is possible that there might be some sort of our approach more if this issue, he might win in the Court of Appeal, in which case he'd get it. So we would then actually see where this would lead. But any bridging of the Royal Rift seems pie in the sky at the moment. I mean, what you see at the moment, what you're seeing is sources in a sympathetic magazine, a CBS interview coming up, some form of faux royal tour, which is what it is, to a South American country, which they haven't got the links that they had to Nigeria, and which certainly Archwell, put it this way, Archwell's significance has been very greatly exaggerated when it comes to online safety. It is not a global leader, in my opinion. People will judge for themselves, but there's no doubt it will probably be successful. And what it will do is give them vast amounts of publicity. Now, what they are eventually going to do with all the press they receive and the interest, because remember, they criticize the press when it suits them, but also they need the publicity. It's a symbiotic relationship the royals have with the press, and this is just simply a fact of life. But the facts also are that Harry and Meghan must have future ambitions that we don't know about. At least I strongly suspect that they do. They won't just be programs and lifestyle brands. There will be something more. They turned down the opportunity of being senior working royals, and there they could have done a very great deal of good for those who are less fortunate. As it is, they can pontificate about that. They can't do a great deal at the moment, but they can get the limelight. That is some of it, and can be helpful in some contexts. But it does, given the fact they were senior working royals for so short a time, lead to one to wonder how actually deeply committed they are to helping others when it really comes down to it, and how much is about them, because they've used very unscrupulous methods when it comes to interviews. And some of the material that we've had on those interviews in Oprah, in the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary, Spare around that, I mean, it's done a lot of damage to the institution, which they are benefiting from, because if they weren't royals, there would be no Nigeria, no Colombia, and, well, there wouldn't be very much, actually. The problem so obviously is that if you choose Nigeria and Colombia, which are countries that have pretty appalling reputations when it comes to crime, it does sound weird. This really does make one raise one's eyebrows, because apparently, I mean, this is linked to the end of conference about ending violence against children, as a very worthy cause. But the idea, according to the Vice President, that Archwell, which was only founded in 2020, which had reasonable accounts in 2021, but only 2 donors in 2022, well, it's apparently global leadership in fostering a safer online environment. Now, that is no doubt worthy, and it is something that Harry and Meghan have supported, but global leadership is absolutely ridiculous. So, I mean, obviously they're looking for an excuse. The thing has been set up, and they will unquestionably, they're visiting Bogota and a couple of other cities. The facts are that it will get enormous media interest. What they could have done as members of the royal family would have been immense. They chose this path, and this path is this odd in between, where on the one hand they sound out, saying exactly what they think, and talking about Britain being dangerous. And oddly enough, when Harry was here last and didn't see his father, extraordinarily, according to reports, he preferred a hotel to a palace, which he was reportedly offered. It makes very little sense But one of the problems with the Sussexes is that they are unpredictable. That causes problems for the royals trying to deal with them. Now, the royals, you could argue at the moment, are not trying to deal with them because there's a deep rift. But then, on the other hand, in sources, in People magazine, which is a magazine very close to the Sussexes, have been talking about what would perhaps mend the royal rift if King Charles was able, or Harry believes he could, arrange security for them. That's automatic police protection when they were in Britain. So you don't really know where you are, but there's no doubt where they're going in the view of most people, and certainly with government advice in some countries to visit Colombia or Nigeria isn't necessarily wise. So you've got an extraordinary situation, but clearly they are doing this for the purposes of their profile. It needs, unquestionably, it needs enlarging. This is a way of doing it because they know the press will follow them. But the press, of course, they excoriate as and when they feel like it. So it's a win-win so far as they're concerned. So far as people are concerned, their ratings are terrible in Britain in opinion polls. Meghan's, however, have, according to Newsweek, improved in the United States, and it will be very, very interesting if you follow what happens there, because obviously it won't be long before she endorses Kamala Harris, and hopes possibly, conceivably, that might lead to, and this has been talked about for years, some form of political career for her possibly in future years. She's only 43 on Sunday, and we know that America largely is a gerontocracy politically. So there are a variety of things that are happening here, and to what extent as well American Riviera Orchard, lifestyle brand, to what extent that will take off, and also Netflix, which of course she's got a cookery program. So there, again, I would hope that they might use a variety of issues and matters, programs, and so forth at their disposal in a constructive way, and also possible future political career in a constructive way. But on the other hand, when it comes to charity beginning at home, the Sussexes, apart from Meghan's mother, Doria, are not particularly good at it. It certainly wouldn't score highly, and that doesn't necessarily help if you're, in fact, it definitely doesn't help if you are looking for some form of career in public life. Equally, they may be content to do their own thing because they were senior working royals for so short a time. And if you take to the end of the standing agreement, it was only about 2.5 years or something like that. So, I mean, if they haven't shown that they're really, truly committed to something for a long period yet, it's, you could argue, quite early days. But on the other hand, the choice of Nigeria, the choice of Colombia, perfectly reasonable if Harry hadn't made the comments about Britain being dangerous, or words to that effect. Since he has, the optics are very weird.